sleep is the time in which our brain cells get replenished and all of the toxic metabolic byproducts that build up. The average brain cell fires 10 times every second, all day long, while we're awake, 10 times every second. So thousands and thousands of times throughout the day. And they're building up all these waste products. You got to take out the trash. You got to get that stuff out of there, and you got to replenish them with fresh supplies. That's what happens during sleep. And we need a lot of it, especially when we're young, just so the brain can be hitting on all cylinders. And so many young people are getting like 5 and 6 hours a night instead of the 8 and 9 that kids used to get. I mean, parents used to, basically it was just a given. It was part of the manual that they would hand us as parents. There were some manuals, but the manual of like, hey, if you're going to be a good parent, you've got to carve out all this time for your kids to sleep. We still do it often with little kids. Why? Because we can see immediately in their crankiness or they're acting out, like they're having meltdowns when they're 2 if they're sleep deprived. Well,
also,
when
you
they're 10,
you need a little bit of time and space for yourself.
I wasn't going to go there, but yeah, absolutely. But when they're 10, you don't see the meltdown so much. But what you see are symptoms of ADHD and symptoms of anxiety and symptoms of crankiness and depression, even, and suicidality. And instead of parents connecting the dots and saying, oh, wait a minute, like I think our kids are in bed or in their bedroom long enough, but it's like, oh no, they're actually staying up on their smartphone for an extra 3 hours after they go retreat into their bedroom. And so instead of getting, 9 hours, the kid's getting 5 or 6, and everything is suffering. And by the way, Gen Z grew up not even knowing that they needed this sleep. Why? Because nobody was getting it. I often find it absolutely stunning when I'm teaching courses and I'm giving them this information, very matter of fact, very, I would say, in a pretty academic sense, but also somewhat applied. And I get these reflection papers and I get emails and I get students coming to office hours all the time saying, this is freaking life-changing information. Like nobody ever really explained why sleep is important, how it's important, how not. And they're starting to carve out enough time. And they're like, this is a performance enhancing drug. This is like the lowest of low hanging fruit to make your life better. If you're sleep deprived, which most of Gen Z is chronically sleep deprived, and you start getting adequate sleep, it's life changing.